Chapter 1. Regressor's First Day. What's happening? We were just on our way to a workshop. Director Kim, with half his hair scraped off, looks around and stands up. I try to recall my memories, figuring out where we were in time. The first day. It's the first day we landed in this bizarre world. Remember how we ended up here? We were in an SUV going to the workshop, then a landslide. We got caught in a landslide, and then something flashed suddenly. It's a 50-year-old memory, so it's a bit hazy. I can't remember clearly. Hey, Deputy Manager CO. Now that I've regressed, how should I live? Deputy Manager CO. Usually in regression novels, people live well using their future knowledge, but all I know about the future is trivial stuff like Mr. Ju's daughter being born 30 years later. CO In-hyun, Deputy Manager. Ah, Section Chief John. Sorry, I was a bit startled. I snap out of my daydream at Section Chief Jeon Myung-hoon's shouting. Deputy Manager. The title I haven't heard of in so long. I couldn't help but be startled. Then I remember the face I haven't seen in a long time. Section Chief John Myung-hoon. John Myung-hoon. The nephew of John Myung-chol, the executive director of the company I worked for, SJD Company. He's 32, 3 years older than me, but had already snagged the section chief position through nepotism. I remember disliking him quite a bit 50 years ago. But thinking of it as a face I haven't seen in 50 years, I'm actually quite happy to see him. After all, isn't he a fellow countryman from my homeland that I'm seeing again after 50 whole years? It's time to get along well, I thought. Swish! Suddenly, Section Chief John slaps me across the face. Deputy Manager CO, you son of a bitch, drive the car properly. Stand there dazed, having been slapped, and quickly erase the thought of him as a fellow countryman. I had forgotten. This guy is a bastard. You bastard! It's because of you that we're in this mess. Stranded. This bastard! When John Myung-hoon is about to charge at me in anger that Chief O stands up and stops him. Look here, that's enough. That landslide wasn't something Deputy Manager CO could have done anything about. I remember that incident from 50 years ago. Yes, I was definitely assigned the role of driving the company SUV. Aren't you angry, Chief? Because of this jerk Deputy Manager CO, we're in this disaster. Where are we now, and where did our SUV go? We're stranded here because of this guy. And then, I remember, I definitely dozed off while driving. But the reason I was dozing off was John Myung-hoon. That guy dumped work on me the day before the workshop. Work he had been putting off, forcing me to stay up all night. If you were going to doze off, you should have handed the wheel to someone else. What kind of mess is this? Thinking about it again. Wasn't John Myung-hoon originally the one in charge of driving? That's right. Originally, John Myung-hoon was supposed to drive, but he, wanting to hit on the female employees in the back seat, forcibly put me in the driver's seat. This stupid bastard! We're stranded because of him. The memories from 50 years ago are coming back clearly. Back then, I was so flustered and didn't understand what was happening. So unwittingly, I apologized to John Myung-hoon. I thought it was my fault, looking back on that memory from 50 years ago. Has John Myung-hoon never felt anything like conscience or shame? I definitely asked John Myung-hoon and the female employees a few times to take the wheel for a while. But John Myung-hoon, who refused to drive, also prevented the female employees from driving, even though he knew I was sleepy due to overnight work. As the deputy manager, I couldn't ask the chief and director to drive. I had to drive for 4 hours without rest, despite being sleepy because of John Myung-hoon. So, Section Chief John, I have something to say. Look at him, acting all high and mighty. Yeah, since we're stranded because of Deputy Manager CO, if you have any conscience, you should apologize. I was extremely sleepy, yes, but to my recollection, I drove the car correctly until the end, even fueling myself with coffee. When the landslide happened, I tried to avoid it, but it was too big to evade, and our car was swept away as it was. I definitely tried to stop and reverse the car when I saw dirt falling in front of us, but the side of the mountain next to us almost completely collapsed. It was a disaster I couldn't have avoided no matter how much I tried. Section Chief John, I understand you're angry, but it doesn't seem like the time to blame someone. This guy, giving lectures in front of who? You don't even know what you did wrong. Sigh. Take a deep breath. In the life where I didn't know about regression. For 50 years, I learned how to endure while living tenaciously. To endure when strong bandits trampled over me and took my money. Learning to endure when vicious martial artists insulted me. Learning to endure when local officials took everything I had, even things I didn't have, to collect taxes. Yes. In front of those I couldn't handle, enduring was the truth. Hey. What? Hey? Seo Yun Hyun, you bastard? What now? Unnecessarily in front of those I can handle is not what a man does. I learned that too. I said it wasn't my fault. Enough is enough. Chief, let go of me. This guy is really... Thud. John Myung-hoon charges at me and strikes my face. But as soon as he attacks me, I step forward and headbutt him. Boom. Ah! Past life. How many times have I been beaten by martial artists? How many times have I been beaten while gathering herbs in the mountains and encountering bandits? How many times have I been beaten when a band of robbers invaded during a famine? Beaten and beaten again. During that senseless violence, I learned something that John Myung-hoon and others didn't have. Violence. Boom. Thump. Boom. As soon as the first headbutt connects, I charge and mercilessly pummel John Myung-hoon. Ugh, wait. You bastard. I said. It wasn't me. Beating someone. When you hit someone in the face, the person being hit feels an immense sense of fear. Sight obscured by a fist, and the pain that follows in that moment. The terror of the merciless attacker. Punch around the eyes of John Myung-hoon to obscure his vision. Don't know what you did wrong, at least keep your mouth shut. With every punch, the grudges I have against John Myung-hoon without even realizing it seem to be refreshingly resolved. Even though 50 years have passed, the vicious bullying John Myung-hoon inflicted on me and the company was still unforgettable. I did something wrong. Sigh. Time an apology came out of the arrogant John Myung-hoon's mouth, I stopped beating him and looked around. Director Kim, Chief O, Deputy Manager Kang, Deputy Manager O, Manager Kim. Everyone is looking at me with fearful eyes. Among them, Director Kim speaks to me with a trembling voice. Deputy Manager CO, no matter what, beating a fellow colleague to that extent. Yes, you're right, I'm sorry, but I was so angry at the moment. I apologize for startling everyone. And after all, I was the driver, so I apologize for not doing more at that time. I bow neatly to Director Kim and the other employees and apologize. In fact, except for Director Kim, I will see none of the other people again. But Director Kim, I will stay together with. Director Kim, if you learn martial arts, you will reach the pinnacle of the world. Of course, only in the world of martial arts. Even though I have returned to the past, I gave up on the idea of joining a cultivation sect. What cultivation sect? I don't have that ability. The ability, also known as spiritual roots or spiritual nature. Without it, it's impossible to learn the methods of immortal practitioners, or even to sense the spiritual energy they cultivate. If there is something I wish for in this life, I hope I get even a little more opportunity to work harder than in my previous life. In the previous life, after Director Kim learned martial arts and left, he came to drink with me occasionally. Even that stopped completely after he reached the peak of his skills. But this life is different. If I actively support Director Kim, maybe some benefits will fall to me. To do so, I need to be good to him from now on. Right. Everyone is in a confusing situation, and Section Chief John pushed too hard. Of course, Deputy Manager CO also reacted too harshly. Apologize. Yes, Director. You are right. After bowing to Director Kim again, I help Section Chief John up and say, "I'm sorry, Section Chief John. I was too harsh. I truly apologize." You son of a... As I show humility again, John Myung-hoon, who seems to have regained his spirit, glares at me. But as my eyes turn fiercely cold, he eventually avoids my gaze and shuts his mouth. "Anyway, it looks like a forest for now. How about we walk out and find a nearby village?" Director Kim looks around and suggests. The sky is dyed crimson, looking like the sun would set soon, and the wind is getting colder. Logically, Director Kim's words make sense. But in this place, conventional wisdom must be discarded. In a world where cultivators become immortals and fly around, and martial artists fight for wealth and honor. That is this world, and the forest we have fallen into. All the memories from 50 years ago and think of the name of the forest. Ascension Path, ascending to immortality. Said to be the best place for many demons and cultivators to ascend to immortality. Place where the spiritual energy of heaven and earth gathers the most. There are no villages, cities, or states near Ascension Path. Therefore, what Director Kim is trying to do is meaningless. More important right now is, night is coming. We need to start a fire. I finish my thoughts and speak to Director Kim. "Director, do you have signal?" It seems the signal is dead." "I think if the signal is dead, it will be hard to get rescued and hard to find our location. Since it's getting dark, instead of looking for a village we don't know the location of, it might be better to prepare to stay here tonight." Hearing my words, Section Chief John, who had been quiet, refutes softly. "What are you talking about, our deputy manager CO? On the contrary, it's more dangerous at night, so we need to find a village." In my opinion, it's more dangerous to move recklessly. How about this?" I point to a tall tree nearby. "Why don't you go up that tree and see if there's a village or even a road nearby? If there's nothing around, how about we do as I say?" "Go up that tree? Who's going to climb? It? You, Deputy Manager CO? Well, if no one else knows how to climb a tree, then I'll do it." I nod easily and grab the trunk of the tallest nearby tree, slowly climbing up. I once encountered a wild boar while picking herbs in the mountains. That time, I climbed a sturdy tree nearby in a life-or-death situation. Modern people don't usually climb trees, but having experienced all sorts of hardships in my previous life before returning, I easily climbed to the top of the big tree. "What do you see, Deputy Manager CO?" "Hello," Director Kim shouts. The vicinity is an endless forest. Roads or villages, let alone any traces of humans. Rather, monsters and demons are probably swarming among those trees. Instead of shouting back from the tree, I pretend to look around for a while and then climb back down. "Deputy Manager CO, you're really good at climbing trees. That tree looked about 11 meters high. By the way, what kind of tree is this? It looks unfamiliar, like it's not from around here." Director Kim pats me on the shoulder, and Manager O looks curiously at the tree I had climbed. And tell them what I saw. There are no roads or villages nearby. Strange. Even if we were swept away by a landslide, there should be a highway nearby. Strokes his chin as if it's strange, and Section Chief Jian looks at me suspiciously. "Manager CO, did you really see properly? Are you sure you're not just saying there's nothing there? On purpose?" "Why would I lie about that? I'd rather sleep in a house than camp in the forest. If you don't believe me, Section Chief John, you can climb up and look for yourself." Section Chief Jian backs off with a face like he had eaten something bitter. "I think even if we explore the surroundings, we should first set up a base and light a fire, since it's getting dark." "That makes sense. Then... Oh, let's look for our SUV too. We were swept away by a landslide in the car, but logically our car should be nearby." Director Kim claps his hands and says, but place where common sense doesn't apply. Our SUV is gone. It won't be anywhere. How about looking for the car and sleeping in it? There are a lot of supplies in the car since we were going on a workshop. This workshop was practically a picnic, so there were lots of camping tools and food loaded in the SUV. However, the car is gone. Of course, I know because I returned to the past, but they wouldn't believe me if I said the car is gone. Instead of draining my energy trying to convince them, it's better to just let them look. Then, let's split into teams. One team will look for a place to stay, and another team will look for the car. Let's meet back here before the sun completely sets. I suggest dividing into teams. I, Deputy Manager O, and Manager Kim are in the team looking for a place to stay. Director Kim, Section Chief Jian, Chief O, and Deputy Manager Kang are in the team looking for the car. We split up and look around. Manager CO, you said to look for a place to stay, but how do you usually find such a place? Deputy Manager O cautiously asks. She seems a bit awkward because I beat up Jeon Myung-hoon. Or forests is dangerous. Wild animals and beasts could attack, and if you light a fire just anywhere, it could cause a forest fire. The best thing would probably be a small cave. Ah, like that place over there. Oh my, a cave? You found it right away? You're lucky. Of course, the cave I had naturally led them to was one I had visited 50 years ago. In my past life, it was a refuge I had barely found after wandering for hours. Deputy Manager O and Manager Kim, it seems like good luck, but in reality, it's not a coincidence, but an inevitability. Even in my past life, it was the perfect place to stay, without any danger inside. I look at the cave and gather twigs and leaves from nearby. Wow, Mr. CO, you're really skilled. Did you do something like Boy Scouts? Well, something like that. Boy Scouts, but rather a 50 years experience in Old Scouts. We can light the fire later with Director Kim's lighter. Shall we gather some firewood for the bonfire? Oh my, it feels like when I went to a training camp as a kid. Right. It feels just like that time. The two female employees chatter happily as they join me in collecting dry sticks and branches for firewood. Later, as the sun is setting, now let's slowly head back to the clearing we were at earlier. The others will be gathering there too. All right,